Alright, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a gingerbread house out of Pop-Tarts. The first step is to clean your table with bleach wipes. The next step after washing your table with the bleach wipe is to wash your hands. Simply put them on your sink, make sure the water is warm, and then rinse your hands with water, then get soap to apply enough for a lather, and then scrub your hands for about 30 seconds. After you're done washing your hands, make sure to grab a single serve paper towel and dry your hands off. The ingredients that you'll need for this recipe are Pop-Tarts to build the house. You will need confectioner sugar to make the glue or the frosting, and you also need water to make the frosting. The tools that you'll need are a 1 teaspoon measuring spoon and a half a cup measuring cup. You'll also need a zippy bag so you can put the frosting onto the Pop-Tart so it'll keep it together. And you'll need a cutting board and a serrated. Ask for parent supervision when you get your scissors. And you will also need a serrated knife. Make sure your parent's there to help you. Alrighty, so the first step for making your Pop-Tart house is to open up your box of Pop-Tarts. You'll need a 8 count, and they come in packages of 2. So for each package of Pop-Tarts, you'll be getting 2 individual Pop-Tarts. So for this recipe, you will need 3 packages of Pop-Tarts, which will give you 6 Pop-Tarts in total. The next step is to take your Pop-Tarts and open them individually, and then I'll show you what's next up and coming. Alright, now that you have all your Pop-Tarts unwrapped, next step is to group them up in their packets. So as you can see, they came in packets of 2. So we're going to take 1 packet or 2 Pop-Tarts. We're going to move these over to the side. This is going to become the roof, so we do not want to cut these, but these are the remaining ones that we do want to cut. So we're also going to take the other set and separate them from this bottom stack. Alrighty, now you're going to take your top layer Pop-Tart, flip it sideways so it lines up to the bottom of the Pop-Tart. Then with parent supervision, you're going to take your serrated knife, and then you're going to make a line from this bottom corner right here all the way through there, and then you're going to cut in a diagonal line, and this will create the angle of your roof. Just like that. Then we're going to move this piece to the side. Then we're going to take the Pop-Tart, move it over to the other side, and then make a diagonal line from the corner and cut it again. So after that is complete, we're going to take this Pop-Tart which is cut, we're going to stack it on top of this one which isn't. Then we're going to make the same cuts that we did before, making sure you don't crush the Pop-Tart, so just hold it gently and then saw away at these top corners. Alright, so here's going to be the front and back of the house. If we had the house, we'd put it right this, and then we'd put the walls in between. So now we're going to make the walls. Cut. So for making the walls, you're going to take one of these Pop-Tart pieces. You're going to put it down on your cutting board. For this one, I'm going to put it over here. So for making the walls, you're going to take one of these triangle pieces. You're going to put it back down on your cutting board. Then you're going to get an intact Pop-Tart. Make sure that you have your parent supervision for this, because you are going to be making cuts. So take the second Pop-Tart and really be careful with your fingers. Carefully grab your knife and hold it so that your fingers aren't in the way. Then what I like to do is place my hands down to the bottom of the Pop-Tart, so you're only cracking the border. If you do press down too hard, make sure your fingers stay away from the knife while you're using it. Then you can make a cut into the Pop-Tart and saw away. For this step, you're going to repeat the same process to do the other wall. Already after that step, you don't need to cut anymore, so you'll be left with 2 pieces with triangles on top. These are going to be the front and the back of your Pop-Tart house. And then you'll have 2 of these pieces that are flat on the top. These are going to make the walls. So for example, this is the front of your house. You're going to put this half Pop-Tart almost on the side to make the walls. And then we'll get into the next step, which is frosting. Cut. Already for this step, we're going to be making the frosting. We're going to first take our zippy bag that we have right here. We're going to open it, and then we're going to spread it out. We can also use the box of the Pop-Tarts to put our zippy bag in, just to have it stay open. You can fold out these sides in order to help it, and then bam. You don't have to have anyone else help you. You can have the bag open like this, and then we're ready for the next step, which is to take the half cup measuring cup, and then we're going to put it in the confectioner sugar. So we're going to take the half cup, and then we're going to scoop into the confectioner sugar or powdered sugar, and then we're going to shake a little bit off inside so that the spoon is flat. You can also use the back of your knife in order to make it flat, but it should end up like something like this. Then you're going to take this, pour it into your little zippy bag. Make sure that you get all of it off, so make sure you shake it. And then we're done with the confectioner sugar. We can take this spoon, and then we're done with the confectioner sugar. Next step is to add our water. So for this, we're going to need 2 to 3 teaspoons, which is the small spoon. We're going to scoop it in our water. Then we're going to carefully put it into the zippy bag, pour it in. That's 1. We're going to repeat the process to get 2. And then we're done with the water for now, unless we need more. The next step is to take this zippy bag out, and then we're going to close it. We're going to mix together the confectioner sugar and the water together so it makes it look like glue. So this might take a little while, but all you have to do is just mix it around with your fingers. You'll realize if you need more water, if you'll see powdered sugar that's not dissolving. So you can take your bag, open it up again, take out your teaspoon, scoop in some water, and then pour it into the bag, and then after you're done with that, put the teaspoon down, zip up the bag, and then continue mixing. Alrighty, for this next step, you're going to open your bag after you mixed up the icing. Then you're going to burp out all the air, so there's little to no air left. Then you're going to seal it up. Then you can take your knife, please do be careful. You can use this part, the back of the knife, to move the icing so it is all corralled into one corner. Yet again, please be careful and have your parents' supervision for whenever you're making this. And make sure that you don't touch these serrated parts because they'll cut your finger. For this next step, you're going to want to take your cutting board and empty out all the little crumbs off into your sink, for example, so it makes your workstation nice. And then we're going to work on our next step, the icing. So take your bag of icing after you corralled all of this down with your knife or your fingers. You're then going to make a little corner and then corral it down. Make sure it gets pressed down as far as you can. Then we're going to take the remnant of the bag, or the remaining of the bag, and we're going to take these 2 sides, fold it together, and start twisting the bag. After that, we have like a little triangle shape coming to the tip. We're then going to want to take our scissors, our kitchen scissors, and then we're going to cut the tiniest bit off this little triangle. And this is going to allow the frosting to come out, so don't squeeze it or the frosting will come out. After you have it like this, make sure you don't squeeze it, otherwise icing will start to come out, even though it's a little bit slow. Now we're going to move on to our next step, which is putting the different pieces together. So we're going to take the front piece that has the triangle on top, we're going to lay it down flat, and then we're going to put icing on this side that was just closest to us, making sure that we get a line along the edge. And this will act like our glue to keep the wall on. Then after we're done with that one side, we can take the icing bag, put it down on our clean work surface. We're going to take a wall and then place it on that icing carefully, and we're going to hold it there for about 30 seconds. And then for the next step, you can repeat it, putting icing on this side right here, and then putting it down another wall, and then I'll go on to the next step. After 30 seconds, you should be able to stand up your little Pop-Tart gingerbread house just like this, and that's going to be helpful for when we put on the next side. So like I said before, we're going to take the icing, we're going to make a straight line going down and make sure the icing is coming out, otherwise it won't be there to glue together your Pop-Tart house. Then we're going to carefully put the icing down so it doesn't spill all over the place. Then we're going to take the second wall, we're going to slide it up against the other Pop-Tart that we have the triangle on. Then we're going to make it together so we're almost making a square. So after you have the frosting down and you slid this wall against, make sure you hold it for 30 seconds so the frosting can harden up and then the Pop-Tart will stay in place without you having to hold it. For the next step, we're going to take the last triangle piece and the icing bag. We're going to make the 2 lines that you drew on the other ones. We're going to make a line there, and then a line on the other side, and this is going to line up with the 2 walls that we have made. And if your frosting is doing that, it means that you didn't mix it well enough. And we're going to apply a generous coating of frosting here. Then we're going to put down the icing down there, and we can grab this Pop-Tart by the top in order to line it up. Then we're going to carefully slide this into place so the icing is touching both the walls. And then you have the basic framework of your Pop-Tart house, and then make sure you hold it for 30 seconds, otherwise it might fall apart. For this next step, we're going to take the framework of the house and the icing bag, and we're going to coat the outside edges in a coating of icing. So that will allow us to put on our roof. Make sure you do have a good amount of frosting on this so you can keep the roof on your house on. And you might have to adjust your grip on the icing bag in order to get more icing to come out. Then we're just going to make sure there's enough icing coating these outside layers where the roof is going to touch. And then after that is all coated, you can take your icing, put it down, take one of the roof pieces. We're going to do the one that's closest to me, and we're going to take it, line up this edge so it fits to the 2 tops of the triangles, and then carefully put it down and hold it for 30 seconds. For the last step of the roof, we're going to take the last Pop-Tart, we're going to put it on our icing and do the exact same thing, lining up the edge with the peaks, and we're going to hold it down for 30 seconds. After that 30 seconds is done, we'll move on to the next step. Cut. And then for the next step, what we're going to do is decorate the house with the icing. We're going to take the icing bag. We might have to refold it again so the icing stays pressurized so that we can squeeze some out. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger right here. We're going to take this icing and we're going to move it across so we create a nice line on your gingerbread house. And this will help you keep these 2 sides together when the icing hardens. Then if you have enough icing, you can go make little borders along the sides of your roofs and make it outlined in white, or you can put like little drizzles on there, make a little cool design. Like this so it doesn't impact your design. Then after that you can design it however you'd like. So enjoy your gingerbread house. So for example, this is what I did to make my gingerbread house. I did a little cool design on this side, and then I made myself a little door because you can't get into your house without a door. Then I have little icicles here that I made by making little dots, and they would drip down and they would harden just enough so they would make little icicle shapes. And then on this side of the roof, I made it all covered in the icing, and it's basically snow. So with all this, it's the snow on the one side, and then all this on the other side is a cool design. So you can do it either way that you'd like, or if you would also like to, you can put more icing on if you have it down the outlines, and then you can put on candy like M&Ms and decorate the house like that. So that is how you build a gingerbread house out of Pop-Tarts.